Here's Brody Brazil.
Welcome back to Home Studio Production Basis. This is a series all about improving your production value in a home studio situation. I've got a couple of these episodes already out. Well, actually, this is number 2. I'm making a bunch more here in the process. This time around, it's all about audio quality, which is huge to me. Obviously, video is what everybody sees. It might catch the eye, but catching the ear equally important. So I've got some tips for you, but I also want to identify the challenge of audio in your productions, whether it's YouTube videos, live streams, Zoom presentations, webinars, because you're creating content here for multiple speaker outputs and fidelities. On a screen, it could be big or it could be small, but that's about it. Usually the quality at 1080 or 4K or 8K or whatever, those are usually defined. But think about the speaker qualities and differences between a mobile device, a home stereo, a car stereo, nice headphones, or really cheap small earbuds. A great variation of how the end user is going to hear your product, but the common thread is that you want everything to sound good, whether it's really good speakers or really bad headphones. And I'm telling you, there's no question about this. Audio, to me, remains 65% or more of your video's total production value, right? Because if they can see you and you look good, that's great. But if they can't hear you or the audio is fatiguing, they're more likely to stop listening or never actually listen at all. So here are my overall tips. I'll go into each one of these in detail. Know the room, know the mic, proper mic placement, proper mic technique, and also how to monitor your audio as you're recording it, as you're streaming it, to make sure it's perfect. In the moment, you won't have to go back and fix something or redo it after the fact. So know the room. Avoid reflections, echoey rooms, spaces. Think of a big bathroom, a hallway, a kitchen, all those places where if I clap, it echoes, 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 echoes. You don't want that. If it sounds like this, that's bad. Just thought about doing that right there on the moment. So you're trying to avoid reverberations and reflections. Now, some rooms will help you with this more than others, but we'll talk about creating a sweet spot in just a second. All you really have to do is turn a microphone on, hit record, walk around your house, find a place without fans, rooms that don't have hums or buzzes. Think about desktop computers. They all have fans in the back of them. They're loud. A refrigerator, and when that compressor kicks on, that's loud. A laundry room that might be next door to a bedroom where you're recording, that's loud, even through the wall. So try and avoid some of those pitfalls from the very start. Also, be aware of ambient sounds. For example, here at my home studio, there are landscapers with our neighbors. I kind of know the days and times that they come. You can't always avoid that, but be cognizant that you might be prone to something like that, a leaf blower, a lawnmower. Do you live on the final approach corridor of a local airport? Is there a bus stop or a main street that runs outside your house? Again, you can't control all of this stuff, but you can identify it and you can move away from it a lot of times if possible. And that brings me to a sweet spot. Some rooms, even bad rooms with echoes and hard surfaces and no treatment, and even the worst rooms have sweet spots. Or you can create a sweet spot in a room. Think about this. Take a comforter from your bed, put it between 2 chairs, put it right behind a microphone. Kind of use it as a catcher's mitt, if I'm going to use a baseball reference. Yes, I'm talking into this microphone, but now all of my voice and words are going to be caught by this big blanket behind the microphone, and that will prevent them from reverberating around the room a little bit, right? It's not going to fix the problem entirely, but maybe can I put another one behind me? That would really cut down on the amount of echo. Now, I will also say, if you're only doing audio, if you're just doing a podcast with no visuals, go in the master bedroom closet, right? Inside there, clothes on both sides. That will deaden the sound perfectly for you. But if you are doing video, you have to consider this. What tricks can you use to make a sweet spot in a room? How can you cut it down in size? How can you use the right spot of the room that is acoustically favorable? I would also tell you here, know the microphone you're using. Now, the analogy I like to use here between know your mic and know the room is kind of like golfing. Knowing the room is like knowing the hole you're playing or maybe the course you're playing. And knowing the mic is like knowing the club that you're going to take out of your bag. I mean, simple as this. You wouldn't want to use a driver for putting, and you wouldn't want to use your putter as your very first shot off the tee, right? You use specific tools for specific jobs. And I'm not going to get into detail here about what microphones are and dynamic versus condenser or pickup patterns, whether it's cardioid, supercardioid, figure eight, but know the pickup pattern and the sensitivity of your microphone. If it is a really bad room, don't use a really good mic that's sensitive and that can hear everything. Maybe consider a dynamic microphone for a bad room. If it's a great room, hey, use a condenser. Use a shotgun if those things can benefit your end result. Know the business end of the microphone. I mean, this one seems pretty straightforward, but on this microphone, the Neumann U87, it's a side address mic. The capsule's right here. I'm talking across it, but it's picking me up perfectly. I'm not talking into the side of it. I'm not talking in front of it. I'm not talking on top of it or behind it. Know where to talk into your microphone. You'd be surprised how many people you can find here on YouTube talking into the top of a side address microphone. Know the sensitivity, have proper gain settings. If you're gained up too low, you won't be able to hear what somebody's saying. And if you're gained up too high, then you're going to be over-modulating the entire time, and that's when we get into that fatiguing audio or audio that clips. It's just unlistenable. I would also highly suggest that you shock mount your microphone no matter where you are. Mine here is on a boom arm, right? So it's not even really connected to this part of the desk, but I can do all this tapping here. And I mean, you can hear this, but you're not hearing the microphone and its vibration. So highly recommended that you shock mount your microphone. Okay, let's move on to mic placement. And beginning with proper distance. This is one of the best microphones money can buy. I love this thing. I'm so fortunate to have it. But even when I take this Neumann U87 AI and I put it over here, this is not proper mic distance or placement. Does this sound good to you? My ears are hurting right now, right? Like even the very best mic out there, one of the elite microphones in the history of microphones, it does a terrible job when it's not properly placed. So you can have a good mic or a bad mic, but unless it's properly placed, you're not even going to give it a chance. Let me also suggest using a lavalier mic. This is the cheaper option. A lot of these can be USB connected straight into your computer, but the option of using an external mic versus using an on-camera or on-laptop microphone. You can enhance the audio quality of your product, your presentation, simply by using a microphone that is connected to you. Now, this one, if I have bad presence, I can turn away from it and you don't pick me up as much, or I can talk up here and it doesn't sound good. But a lavalier mic, clipping it here on my shirt, no matter how I move, you're going to get pretty good sound. So it eliminates the need for good mic technique if your placement is really good. A headset mic, I would also say that's another decent option, right? A headset boom here could also make it so that you could turn left and right and up and down and your audio would still be fine. Instead of somebody talking, again, off microphone for an extended period of time, and that doesn't sound good. And last but not least here, mic placement. Here in 2022, there's no problem with having this in your video, having it be in your shot. I know that some higher productions like to avoid seeing a microphone at all. It's not possible necessarily with a microphone like this where I want to be about a fist distance away from it. But there are other types of microphones, shotguns from above or the sides, or you could hide a lavalier mic inside your shirt and it would still be able to pick you up pretty well. But I don't have any problem seeing an actual microphone or headphones in a video. I mean, think about this. It is worth the cost of benefiting your audio to have it in your video. And then in terms of mic technique, I should honestly do an entirely separate video on this because there's so much to say, but how you actually project into the microphone. Are you a loud talker? Are you a soft talker? If you're softer, maybe you want to get a little bit closer here to the microphone. Like if you know that this is your level, probably don't want to be back here. Sorry, I was a little out of focus there. At the same time, if you're somebody who is a projector, you speak loud, and I'd probably speak louder than normal or conversationally here in the home studio even, so I've backed off the mic just a little bit. I would optimally say there's probably a perfect level of not shouting, but not whispering, but no matter how loud you talk, know how to project And when I say into the mic, I'm actually going to tell you to project across the mic. Now this U87 right now, it's actually, if I were to draw a line, and you can see the boom arm, it's actually pointed across my face, right? This way, diagonally across my face. I'm not now, right now, I'm talking directly into it. But for the most part, I'm talking across it. I do not have a pop filter here. This is so if I emit a plosive, like Peter Piper picked pickled peppers. Forgot what to say there. A lot of P's though, right? I'm blowing a lot of air. If I'm blowing that into the microphone, it will pop the capsule. It'll sound bad. So I use this mic at a 45-degree angle from a close distance across me so that any air I blow out of my mouth, right, it doesn't actually pop the capsule. And last but not least here, beyond projecting into the mic yourself, make sure that all of your guests are mic'd up. If you're going to have 2 people, 3 people in a room or in one setting, first off, that's difficult because now you're introducing a lot of open mics into a small space, but just make sure that everybody is mic'd up. Or if 2 people really are going to share one mic, really make sure that you're using the right pattern, the right microphone, and that it's from a proper distance. Having 2 people sit across a table and putting a microphone somewhere, just anywhere in the middle, how do you think that's going to sound? You wouldn't frame up the video that way, the shot that way, right? So why would you essentially frame up the audio that way? And then last but definitely not least here, monitoring your audio. I think it's so critical, if you can, to get a real-time output of what you're recording, what you're streaming. And this is so that I can get a level check, right? Before I hit record, I can see, for example, here in the home studio, I've got my meters up. I can see that I'm not peaking. Now, of course, I'm using compression and there's a little bit of limiting going on, so I can't really peak it. But if that weren't the case, I want to make sure that my levels are good. They're not too low. They're not too high. And also for live stream so that I know the exact mix that's going out to the audience. I can hear my microphone volume versus something I'm playing back or a video game or whatever. But you want to get this real-time output if you can, just as a confidence check. Now, not all situations and setups will offer the ability to have a real-time output, but I will say, even a lot of very affordable USB microphones that are out on the market right now, they do have a headphone jack or an interface. You can plug right into the interface or headphone jack and get a real-time monitor of the output of what your audience is hearing. I'm telling you, for signal quality, for defects, for faults, you can catch things early. And think about recording something, you're all done, you did the video, it was great, but you weren't listening to it. I mean, even like right now, I am paranoid in this moment because I don't know. I don't know how that was sounding. I mean, I do because I didn't change my volume or anything, and I've done this for thousands of hours, but I just want to make sure that everything is good as I'm doing it. So monitoring it, whether it's with headphones or in-ear monitoring, I think is critical. So just to recap, audio quality, so important to everything you do from a video standpoint. I hope that goes without saying, but so often we look at the video first and ignore everything else. If you liked this episode, if you like this series, let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video. Also subscribe to my channel. As I mentioned before, I've got plenty more of these coming out on the way.